speaking. So cue cards. Cue cards is something that all of you are very familiar with. Would someone like to explain to me an activity they might have done with cue cards? So when we say role play, what do we tell them? Okay, you are this is a shopkeeper and the customer, do a role play. But what? What have you told them to focus on? What is it that you want them to be bound in?
Ma'am, a context is a situation. A context is given. We need to give them a prompt.
Yes. For example?
Take suppose you are standing at a vendor's place and you want to purchase 1 kilo of tomatoes, and the tomatoes are not ripe, so bargain. So then
Okay.
Ma'am, maybe
so bargain. Very good. Okay.
Ma'am, maybe when we are taking up a grammar topic like adverbs, so maybe we can write a situation and tell them to use, adverbs of maybe place or manner in as many sentences.
You can't. I'll tell you, Dimpy, you can't do this. They will stop speaking. The best you can do is write some words and say these are to help you in case you want to use them. There is no mention of adverb. There is no mention of manner. There is no mention of place. There is no mention of any grammar.
And ma'am, we need not give them the whole context. We can give them just 5-7 words and they can weave their conversation around those words.
Okay, I would recommend the following. Have a look. Partners, because you want the whole class to participate. So you give one to the A student, you give the other to the B student. Have a look. You need to decide where to go. Pretty much something along the lines of what Mohini was saying. You need to decide where to go. You would like to try something different because you're tired of the same food. You make a suggestion. So now you've given a full context. There is enough mal for the child to speak. Now look at what the B person has got. You and your friend are going out to eat lunch. You need to decide where to go. You would like to go to the place where you always go. Now see, look at the variation. Because you like the food. You don't agree with your friend's suggestion. Now, that's it. That's the conversation. Within 1 minute, it will get over. You have given them something specific to do. It is not open-ended. Then they'll go on talking. Where will you stop them? The other aspect of the cue cards is something like this. You give a particular function. Okay, A has to ask B a favor. Okay, and you give them something as detailed as this. Who are you? You can choose any. Where are you? Any. What favor does A want? But you're limiting it. They cannot just randomly talk of nonsense. Why? What problem does B have? Why is the person not granting the favor? Okay. And how does A try to persuade B? What happens in the end? Now they have something. You've given them a starting point. You've given them a relationship dynamic. Can't just say, okay, do a role play. There's so many teachers, they say it with such pride, do a role play. And my heart is like, I'm so full of admiration. But then when I ask, how did you do it? Bless their souls. They are so enthusiastic in explaining. My heart goes out to them. I don't feel like telling that, okay, beta, but what is it that what is the skill that they have learned? You're not looking at the performance. You are teaching them speaking skills, isn't it? How will you teach them? If you don't have an organized setup, anybody will speak anything. Beg your pardon. Okay, yes, Ranjana?
Ma'am, for speaking skills, when I have covered like 2 chapters, then I try to give them characters, intertextual conversation. So 2 characters from different stories, if they meet, if they interact, what would be their opinion? Is this a relevant speaking or conversation starter?
Yeah, I've done something like this in my sessions for COE. I'll show you those examples to explain another aspect of cue cards. Okay, I'll just show you. Okay. Yes,
Okay.
Ranjana, that's the right way to go about it. One of the ways. Okay. Look at this now. So when we say types of speaking activities, you have 2 kinds. You have the controlled ones, and then you have the free ones. The most commonly practiced are the free ones. You know why? Because they are the ones that, okay, now you do this. Usually the free speaking activities are done after a listening skill, just to round up. Okay? But the controlled speaking activities, whatever I have shown you today, 90% of them are controlled speaking activities. So the controlled speaking activities are the ones that you have to practice, and these are the kind of activities that you can do. Okay, so to conclude, this is what Ranjana perhaps might be talking about. Now look at this. Okay, this is very heavily controlled. Can you tell me why I say this is very heavily controlled? It is controlled by the teacher. Why?
And because students are filling gaps here.
They are not filling. Yeah, well, they are speaking for the gaps only. The structures have been given by the teacher. Now, the same activity, if you are going to do as cue cards, this becomes relatively, it's a midpoint. Now, these are the kind of things that are best done at your level. You are controlling it also, but you're not giving them the structure. So it tells you very clearly whether the child can speak. Ask where she is from. So the child will have to frame the question. Share the information about the duration of your stay. The structure will have to correspond to your instruction in the cue card. So you've told the child that I'm giving you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cue cards. So number 1, and you've numbered, you have number 1. So the child knows that after number 1 is done, number 2 will come. Then number 3, then number 4. Okay. And the completely free, when you want them to practice this kind of target language that you might have taught them, then you give them something like this. Across the text. This time, senior secondary also has across the text. So if they were to have a dialogue, what would